5-minute count. So I'll be right back. I'm gonna use the bathroom.
Season 1 of 2025. Let's see what sort of adventures that it has in store. And way through the corner. That wasn't the crest doing him dirty.
There right off the beginning is something you probably want to monopolize on right away, honestly, in a rain race.
Involved in that as well. Doden, I believe, is a newer racer. Oh, that's a big crash coming out of the corner. Renaissance mentioning all of those racers that... the field. We saw him have that off-track moment not terribly long ago, and he has come back from a... Oh my God, that's a big wreck coming out of turn number 4. Multiple cars around. A little bit of contact going to Chris Montgomery as well. I saw that car kind of jerk around a little bit through that corner, but you can see Montgomery maybe got to size up a move on Colacio, as Colacio may try and get a move on. That is 5-6 cars covered by just about nothing on this racetrack. Nearly 4 wide through the corner. Look at Colacio going in way deep into turn 5. He's got to lose out on that spot on Chris Montgomery and Colacio. Too low contact being... Weekly Formula V Weekend Warriors crash him up wreckfest at the checkered flag. May God have mercy on both Josh and I's graphics cards, because he had dust. Well, hello and good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to Slow Motion Broadcasting and welcome back to the Formula V Weekend Warriors. This is the 12th and final round of this season coming to you today from Oran Park. My name is Ron Maunz, and alongside me, working the comms and the cans for one final time this season, is Joshua Wilkie. Josh, this season has been absolutely fantastic up to this point. We've had a slew of different race winners and a really intriguing championship fight. But to round this season off, we head to one of the most bizarre racetracks of them all. Oran Park isn't even a track that's around anymore. It was knocked down right after iRacing did their scan of this facility and put it in the sim. It's now a neighborhood, but this track has been preserved in the digital realm. It is a gem of a racetrack, and I have a feeling these Formula Vs are going to put on a good show here today.
Yeah, definitely around 12 around here at Oran Park. This is a pretty physical track, even in a V. It's not an easy track to eye in, not an easy track to hit the marks lap after lap, and I've always had a lot of fun around here, honestly. It's a pretty darn fun track. Pretty narrow, not an easy place to get a pass done or anything like that, but I would expect we're going to see a few dives into some corners, and we'll see how it plays out today in the final round, Ron.
And let's see how things are going to shake out in this final 30-minute long race of this season here for Season 2 of 2025. It's been a good one for the entirety of the Weekend Warriors. I'm going to wrap things up with a Formula Ford and the Spec Race reports tomorrow here exclusively on SMB. For now, though, we've got the FVs to be taken care of. I was about to say the FFs. FFs are a little bit quicker than these Formula Vs, but they can still put on some absolutely fantastic racing. Some of the best in the sim as far as I'm concerned, really. If you're in the mood for some fantastic racing action, stay tuned here to SMB because we have got you covered. Hopefully soon, gonna be day in and day out. Like I said, it's week in and week out, multiple times a week. We've got you covered here at SMB. But currently in this qualifying session, 2 minutes already on the board. Now, to those who haven't tuned into this series before, a quick reminder as to how things work out in these qualifying sessions. 15-minute long solo session. These drivers have 4 laps to try and get the job done, and plenty of time to try and do so. Even around a racetrack like this, you have ample time to be able to set in a good time. Before we get some times on the board, though, just want to quickly touch on how things shook out in practice a little bit earlier on. Jason Green was at the top of the board there. Tortello slotted in P2. Alan DeGassis with a rather impressive performance. He's won the most amount of races at the Masters category thus far this season, was slotted third in practice, with Raphael Lippi, the other driver who's made his debut this season, who's been absolutely fantastic in his previous 2 rounds in this championship, running at the top 4 in practice a little bit earlier on. That's how it looked in practice, though. For now, we've got qualifying. We're already getting times on the board, Josh.
Yeah, looks like we got our first few times in here. I'm feeling this one's going to be pretty tight. This is another track where, a bit of a driver's track for sure. You're not just going to get away with kind of stepping on it around here. You definitely have to get the track right. You got to get those lines right. A few blind corners, a little bit of undulation. It's actually a really fun track. I've raced around here a couple times, I believe, in the SRF. I don't think we've had a race here in the FF yet, although I could be wrong. Difficult track, very physical. I remember at the end of it sweating. I was definitely sweaty at the end of the 40-minute race, and I have a feeling it's going to be the same today as well. And once again, just, picking your battles, knowing when to strike, when not to strike and stuff's going to be a big deal around here, and picking those battles correctly as well. Like I said sort of earlier there, it's pretty narrow around here, and getting a pass done is not going to be too easy. Probably the best opportunity into the first kind of 1-2 complex there, but yeah, it's not going to be easy to squeak one around here.
Very thankful because of my best friend, the laws of nature. It will not be burning hot for these drivers at this track here in the sim today. Currently looking at an ambient of 65 and a track temperature of 76 Fahrenheit. That's looking pretty cool as it stands at the present moment. Right in that perfect window, these cars are going to be putting out some power, and they are going to have ample amount of grip around this racetrack. 12 turns in all. A super fun ride here in the sim with a lot of elevation change baked into it as well. Tortello is your current provisional pole sitter at a 117.009. Jason Green set to join him on the front row. DeGassis slotted in P3. Nate Colascio in the 8 car rounds out your top 4 with Rob Wright, the top running Spec 2 driver as it stands at the present moment in the 211 car. Waiting for some more times to go on the board. There's a time from Raphael Lippi. He jumps up to 3rd. Now, Raphael Lippi damn near won the race last time out at Lime Rock. He's a quick driver in that number 77, the Brazilian. He's only had 2 races up to this point in this series. two of them being at rather different racetracks in the form of Osherslaven, Titan Technical, and Lime Rock, rather quick and open. This track is kind of a blending of the two, and he was quick in both of those races. So I think Raphael Lippi, he may have a solid shot of actually winning here today.
Yeah, I think you're right, Ron. He's, a bit of an unknown entity for us, but maybe not so much these days. Like you said there, we've already sort of got a bit of a rap sheet on him there. And I think, the elements of the last couple tracks that we were at kind of suit this one a little bit too. So I have a feeling he's going to be pretty quick around here as well, Ron. That was a pretty good lead in there. I think Raphael's probably going to be someone to watch out for today, as he's currently in third place here, not too far behind Jason Green, and even closer, or a little bit farther, away from Tor at the moment, who's definitely top of the field there, almost getting into the 116s. That's going to be a difficult one to beat, but you never know if Raphael can't do it today.
Let's see what the driver of the number 77 car does on his second lap here in this qualifying session. He jumps into P2 in front of Jason Green, so it's not the pole yet, but he definitely did himself a lot of favors, jumping up to that front row alongside Tortolo, your reigning two-time champion here in the Formula V Weekend Warriors. He's grabbed the most amount of wins thus far this season in the Spec 1 category, but a little bit out of consideration when it comes to the points. He's still technically in the race, but he would have to hope for Jason Green to get struck down by the falling anvil to end all falling anvils, and to have Tolo just have a perfect race here. No incidents, just keep it clean, keep it smooth, grab the pole fist, slap a run at the front, and win the race. So Tolo, he's going to have to hope for a perfect day and hope that Jason Green has a cataclysmic one here at Oran Park. But that's how it shakes out when it comes to that championship. We'll take a look at those points here in a couple of moments on once his qualifying session cools off. For now, though, got a lot of cars out there on the racetrack. Tortolo looks like he's still on a barn burner of a lap, potentially. Was purple in the first sector, but not very quick through the mid sector of the racetrack. He's going to come across the line here in a couple of moments' time. Will it be an improvement on the 116.9? Don't believe it will. Actually, it will be. There we go. So 116.932. So just barely improved on his previous lap time, but an improvement is an improvement. As did Raphael Lippi just tie his lap time? Did he go back to back in the 117s? No, it was actually a little bit slower that time. But I was gonna say, if we saw him go back to back, that would be absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, for sure. That was pretty darn close there, as we see Tor getting into the 16s there fairly well as well. Yeah, I think this is going to be another pretty close one here at the front. Kind of like I said on the run up there, it's a bit of a driver's track, so you probably are going to see a bit of a bigger spread during qualifying here. Just there not being so many long straights, lots of corners, lots of different kind of lines through corners and stuff here. So it's going to be the driver who kind of finds the fastest line in qualifying. But I think once qualifying is over and we get into the race, it's going to be a pretty big line of cars around here, I think, for most of the race. And it's going to be just about making good decisions. We see Jason Green jump up to the top by a considerable amount there, a few tenths, Ron. That's a fast lap.
Yeah, I'm going to touch on that here in a couple of moments, but I actually went through, I fact-checked this, and yes, Raphael Lippi, on his last lap, set a 1 minute 17.077. The previous time set the exact same lap time. Talk about consistency. Holy cow, that driver, the number 77 car, setting the exact same lap time back to back. I think he decided to call it quits on the end of that fourth lap, not improving. Was a Brazilian. He's going to be starting at the very best third in this race. But Jason Green making a statement here in this qualifying session. That's a rather big gap to himself and Tortolo. Those two have been battling for championships now for 3 straight seasons. This one, the season before, and the season before that. So these two always itchy and scratchy when it comes to these FV Weekend Warriors championship battles. And here in this qualifying session, it's going to be those two sharing that front row as it stands presently. But Jason Green setting in a statement of a lap time there, 116.781. That is a very good lap time, and I believe it was actually about 0.2 of a second quicker than his practice time. So Jason Green turning up the wick here in qualifying.
Yeah, he definitely found something out there for sure. This is kind of the place you can do it too. If you get that kind of entry just right or clip that curb just right, you can really, really improve your lap time a lot. And it looks like that's what he's done out there. He's got this place's number for sure. Now it's just about holding it together for about 30 minutes here and not getting attacked into too many corners, trying to kind of play, push, and pull a little bit for the entire race here, back and forth, and hopefully, he can come out on top. But He's going to definitely have some competition there in Tor, and Rafael Lippi behind him. Coliseo also never one to count out. Ooh, as we see Leon Frost here taking a bit of a wide line there into the grass, doing a little bit of grass mowing. Not too big of a deal in the wee hours of qualifying here. About 5 minutes left. See if he can't improve, move himself up just a little bit more. Scott Brayler actually in the first slot there in S2 so far. Rob Wright just behind him with Michelle Lynn not too far behind there as well. Leon Frost not going to go quicker that time, obviously, going off the road. But yeah, I think this one's going to be just all about decision making again, Ron. It's a really fun track. I really did enjoy driving around here. Not a track you usually kind of encounter on iRacing. It is really a very different track. The curbs are different. Everything's a little different around here.
Yeah, it just has a very odd feeling to it. You know, this is one of only a few tracks in the sim that doesn't exist anymore in real life. I think it's this, USA International Speedway. I believe Wild West Motorsports Park is going to be redeveloped as well, and some people will have thought that North Wilkesboro would have been a part of that list, but that track is now completely different. I believe they're coming out with a rescan of that place here in just a couple of days' time here in iRacing when we switch over to Season 3. But this track is one of only a few here on iRacing that is no longer in existence, so it has that weird sort of eerie vibe to it when you're running around here, because it's like, man, this track is super fun. I wonder what next racing action is going to be here, and then you look and it's, you know, you're driving around turn number 9 and you look, it's a grocery store now. So it's a little bit sad to have that sort of thing go on, but you know, prime real estate markets and all that stuff, the amount of times that's happened here in the States is disgusting. But regardless, it's a fun track. It really has a unique feel to it, and it has the mix of that tight and twistiness and also that openness that we've seen from other racetracks throughout this season that I think is going to give a very unique blend of racing action. So we see Alan DeGassis taking a very interesting line into the pit entry. You can tell how old this scan is based off the tires on that truck. I believe they're hexagons, so no, not touching that one. But I think with 3 minutes left to go in this qualifying session and just about nobody out there on the racetrack, I think we will take a look at those championship point standings coming into the final round of this championship, because we do have some points battles that have some loose ends that need to be tied up between now and the end of this race. Spec 2 is pretty much a runaway with Michelle Lynn. You can see that gap between herself and Parvinder Ladar. Those two have scored the lion's share of victories. Michelle Lynn at 5 wins out of 11 races thus far this season, and Parvinder Ladar at 2 wins thus far. So Michelle, who ran in Spec 1 a couple of seasons ago after back-to-back Spec 2 championships, returned last season, wasn't able to get the championship, was being out by Andrew Love, but here in this season it's looking very good for Michelle Lynn to get the job done. Jason Grider, Dan Szynski, and Travis Rail round out your top 5 in Spec 2. I think we're going to jump as well to Masters, where it's looking rather interesting over there. You can see Jim Brewster definitely has a cushion between himself and Kurt Nunez. Brewster currently sat at 685 points, and Kurt Nunez right behind him, P2 at 618. Those two basically in their own little bubble. Alan DeGassis is a rather interesting case. He's won the most amount of races out of anybody in Masters at 5 thus far, but he finds himself in P3 at 565 points. So really speaks volumes about how consistency can matter in that Masters category. And Jim Brewster, the series admin, always good to make that car run all the way through to the checkered flag. So looking pretty good for Jim in the Masters class coming into the final round of this championship. Now in Spec 1, it is the championship battle that may be. We've got Jason Green running up at the front. Ethan Orr, Nate Coliseo, Felix Samoas, and Tortolo round at your top 5. Now, when it comes to drops and all that stuff, it's really just a 3-horse race from everything I've been told between Jason Green, Felix Samoas, and Tortolo. Felix not going to be with us here, so it is a 2-horse race between Green and Tolo. Tolo has no drop points because he did skip out on some races a little bit earlier on this season. So the advantage is definitely there for Jason Green in Spec 1, but you can still see that top 5, we'll say top 6 with our SMB buddy, Mr. Guido Marzuki, running out the top 6 in Spec 1. Very talented field across all 3 of the classes, and they've put on some fantastic shows, race in and race out.
Yep, absolutely. It's a little tighter over here in the S1 category. It's going to be a pretty interesting race here this afternoon, I think, trying to tie up a few of these loose ends here in the championship. And as you mentioned, there are some drop rounds there, but I don't think they're going to affect our championship too much. So we should be kind of what we see today should sort of be it at the end of it. We should, before we do get started here and we grid up, we have to thank Wayne Buttermore and BFI Consulting for sponsoring this particular race today. Thank you so much, Wayne. Always good to see you out there, and we'll get the grid going here.
Yeah, let's get that final starting grid loaded up for this season. It's going to be Jason Green starting from the pole. Tortello set to join him on the front row. In P3, it will be the Brazilian of Rafael Lippi. And fourth will be the producer of the other Weekend Warrior shows here on SMB, Mr. Guido Marzuki. In P5, it will be Nate Coliseo. In sixth will be your Masters pole sitter of Alan DeGassis. Jim Brewster will start in seventh alongside your Spec 2 poleman of Scott Brailer. In ninth, it will be Rob Wright, and riding out our top 10 will be Michelle Lynn.
Yeah, and then in 11th place, our next S2 driver there is Parvinder Ladar. Jeff Jacobson right behind him in P12. In P13, we have Kurt Nunez, our Masters driver. In P14, Leon Frost. P15, Brian Hansen. P16, Brian Straczynski. P17, Travis Rail. P18, Jason Grider. P19th, we have Russell Telker. P20, we have Daniel Alberti, and in P21, rounding out the field, we have Trip Isley.
And so that is it, the final starting grid from this season. We've seen a lot of different storylines. We've seen a lot of different racetracks. Some ones that are good for these FVs and others which are definitely a test. And I feel like this is going to be a mix of the two. You got that long start finish straight away down into the heavy braking zone of turn number 2. Good for some slipstream in these very draft-heavy race cars, but outside that, you really need to make sure you can stay on top of this racetrack, because if you get caught out by this place, it's going to put you on your butt in the blink of an eye. But waiting for the final start of this season, that pace car making the turn to come down pit lane. The green flag is already out. The drivers are on their way, and there's some bunny hops going on a little bit farther in the back. Someone got some airtime at the back row of the grid, but it's a hectic start at the front of the field. Look at Guido Marzuki trying to sweep around the outside of Tortello down into turn number 1. You got Jason Green trying to make something work as well on the inside. They're side by side. This is a fight for the championship and the race lead as they head their way out of turn number 2, down under the overpass into turn number 3 of Shell Corner, and it is going to be that green shell looking race car of Jason Green on that outside. Not going to be able to make something work. That's a spin and huge contact. That, I believe, you can see the 211 car, and that's Kurt Nunez involved in all that as well. So that's a collision with Nunez, and I believe that was Rob Wright involved in that. Trip Isley did not take the start. That's P19 and P20 spinning off in dramatic fashion through 3.
Yeah, it looked like for a minute there we were going to have a super clean start. Everybody fanned out just huge. The only really wide spot on the track there basically is the front straight, and then kind of leading into T1, and they took full advantage there. That's probably a good chance to kind of make up some places right at the beginning if you're lucky enough to do so. But we are starting to single file it a little bit now. Looks like there was a little bit of back and forth there. So this is Scott Brayler, maybe Daniel Alberti here fighting for a position as we see. I think that was at Marzucci on the inside there, taking a bit of a defensive line. Nope, that was not Marzucci, but somebody taking a bit of a defensive line down the inside there. And up front here, looks like we're still pretty close into T1. Probably our best passing opportunity. Going to see a lot of side-by-side going through this complex today.
Oh, absolutely. And even with the kink of turn 1 called the sweeper around this racetrack, it is still a good spot to overtake in these Formula Vs. And it's going to work out very well for some of these racers. We run on board with Nate Coliseo heading off to the tight end to this first sector, down into turn number 4 of Champion Curve. You could be a champion of this racetrack if you nail it down. It feels like that section tightens, then closes up, then tightens and closes up. It feels like there's a lot of different things going on with your race car through that corner as well. Over the Yokohama Bridge down into turn number 6. This is a tough section of the racetrack. This is turn number 7, my apologies. Through into turn number 8. This is Momo Corner, turn number 9, and you want to make sure you can keep the back end of your race car underneath you to head your way out of that section. This is the one that always throws me for a loop. The turn 10 and 11, weird uphill then downhill chicane. The O'Brien aluminum dog leg. So I guess we'll be breaking out the clutch cargos and the masturbating bear at some point before now and the end of this broadcast. But before I rattle off too many late night bits, let's talk about this battle at the front of the field as it's Tortello trying to make something work of Jason Green, and you also got Guido Marzuki looking to make something work on Rafael Lippi.
Yeah, that's probably going to be the best place to try to get it done there into T1. You can see them kind of squabbling a little bit in the final corner as well. It's another really, sometimes you can just advantageously sort of get by somebody right after that corner if they kind of mess up the entry to it. I think every lap I did around here, I was thinking about that final corner and just how exactly I was going to attack it every lap, because it just feels like you just don't get it right all the time. It's really, really hard to get it correct and get on the gas early enough to get that all-important drag down the front straight into T1. But it looks like they're doing pretty good out there so far, swapping back and forth. Like I said at the top of the show, this place is pretty narrow. It's pretty, back and forth, and it's pretty physical track. It's going to be difficult to kind of play leapfrog around here properly and not end up getting tangled up with somebody and just kind of telegraphing moves back and forth correctly. So I'm going to be watching out for that, basically. You're going to see, let's say Jason Green here gets a bit of a draft. It's going to be up to Tor, to kind of advantageously let him by a little bit so that they don't lose speed and this giant pack of cars doesn't catch them. And if they squabble too much and they play too hard at the front, it's going to get real froggy real fast as we see them going 3 wide with Lippy, deciding not to let them play ball up there. And that's exactly what I would do if I was Lippy. I'd be putting the pressure on, not letting these two get away.
They're still side by side coming at it. Turn number 2, that could have ended in tears with side-to-side contact nearly between Tullo and Green. Tullo taking the shallow approach, trying to crowd Jason Green to the inside down into turn number 3. Some hard racing between those two, but Green going to get that move done to jump his way up into the race lead, as Tullo maybe thought about going for something down the inside into turn number 4. Really hard to try and get an overtake done throughout the rest of this racetrack. Really, turn 2, that is your spot. That is your golden opportunity. Turn 12, Recaro corner, you can maybe get a move done there as well. Literally no runoff area. It is racetrack and then concrete wall, which you don't need to be an astrophysicist to realize that hitting a concrete barrier in a race car is not an ideal strategy. So these drivers, as much as it is an inviting spot to get a move done heading all through there, you maybe want to try and avoid it because it can end in tears, but that does mean Tortullo ain't got to look for it down the inside, down into that turn. Jason Green going to withstand that challenge. That last time we saw these drivers head down the start-finish straightaway, you can see the game of Pied Piper with Tullo swapping down to the inside and trying to get that move done to break the draft last time by, and you can see the rest of the field following in suit. This time he's got a 3-car pack breaking away from that line that Jason Green was punching the hole in the air for. Tullo going to make that move, working down into turn number 2. Tullo going to slip into the race lead. Lippy slotted in P2. Nate Coliseum and Guido Marzucchi briefly scrapping for P4 and P5. Looks like they're going to be side by side right behind these races, but regardless, it is a real intriguing racetrack, this, because I could probably best compare it to cross-country skiing in an odd way. You get those moves done down the flat-out blast, but whenever you're just going up the hill, that's usually not going to be where you try and force yourself to make something work, so to speak.
Yeah, this place is definitely not an easy place to get a pass on. There's no doubt about that. And when I was racing around here, basically what you're trying to do is force a mistake. You get real close to someone and kind of push them and try to drive them into a mistake a little bit is the way that you're going to get by them. Anywhere other than down the front straight or into that first complex, really, and maybe sometimes, like we're saying, into T12 or out of T12. But mainly you're just looking for mistakes out there. You got to try to force a mistake or really hope you get a good run down this front straight. Going back and forth here as we see Lippy looking for a pass potentially on the outside here of Tor. Not sure he's going to make that one work. But again, you're going to have to facilitate these passes or else you're going to slow down a ton. So kind of reading the driver around you and sort of telegraphing things is really going to help, as we're seeing this too wide going through this section of the course is not going to help matters at all. That's going to bring Coliseum and Guido into this fight, and then shortly after that you'll have Brewster to Gassis and a whole nother gaggle of cars with you as well. And this is going to make things more difficult. So we'll see how it happens here as the 21 gets real sideways in the back there, and I believe got clipped by Michelle Lynn. That was Daniel Alberti. Had a little spin there in the background. We'll have to check that out in a minute there, Ron.
Yeah, unfortunate there for Daniel Alberti in that number 21 car. Not sure what happened to them heading down into turn number 3, but a simple spin going to cause them to tow back to pit lane. And you can see the hornet's nest that they found themselves in heading out of turn number 2. You can see Jim Brewster and Alan DeGassis maybe looking to fight. Tried to look for it down the outside into the turn, and contact being made. Yeah, it was a slight little touch, and Michelle Lynn clipped clipped Alberti there as well. I wonder if there's any sort of damage on that race car of Michelle Lynn. Let's follow her in the 215 car. And let's see in the Duldime racing car, a small little tap there. Looking through, is there any major suspension damage on that car? I can't really tell. It looks like there may be faint suspension damage, but nothing too major for Michelle Lynn. As we take a look at 3 and nearly 4 wide racing, heading down into turn number 2. Leon Frost at the epicenter of all of that. Scott Brailer, your pulse hitter, coming into this race in that Spec 2 category, looking to get some moves done there as well. As side-by-side racing at the front between Rafael Lippi, Tortolo, Jason Green, Nate Colicio, and Alan DeGassis is the leader right behind those racing, including Marzuki, right at the tail of that 5-car pack. But man, despite the fact that this is a track that we haven't really seen in the history of the Formula V Weekend Warriors, at least as long as they've been broadcasted here on SMB, it's putting on some pretty good racing, I gotta say, Josh.
Yeah, I was actually not quite expecting quite so much wheel-to-wheel around here. We're seeing Lippi just get one done kind of mid-track there, so proving us wrong. He definitely got one done there. Slowed down the pack a little bit, but they're still able to kind of keep this at least 4 or 5 car pack here kind of going so far. Is Thor looking up the inside. I keep calling him Thor. Sorry, Thor. It's Tor. Up the inside there on the last corner. That's definitely a place, you know, you can tell he's a just consummate racer there. He had an eyeball. I don't think he was ever really going to commit to the inside, but he knows if he kind of just shows a nose there that he might be able to slow Lippi down for this straightaway, and it looks like that's exactly what's happening here. Jason Green seeing some blood in the water. Going to think a little better of it here and let them fight, though.
Jason Green right in the middle of that action. He's at the heart of this battle, as that's the gases spinning through turn number 2. Gonna be stopped on the outside of the track for a lengthy period of time, waiting for the opportunity to get that car spun back around. He finally loops it the other way, but he has dropped down like a stone thrown into a pond. Currently finds himself in P18 at the present moment. Heartbreaking mistake for him. DeGassis has been a fantastic driver to follow up to this point here in the Masters category. The most amount of wins out of anybody in that number 927 car. And let's see if there was a little bit of contact that pitched him into that spin.
Oh.
No, it looked like just running on that high side, and he loops it.
Yeah, just asked a little too much of it and kind of a strange orientation there in a weird spot on the corner. All things happening at once, and unfortunately spun him. Doing a really good job to stay off everybody there, I must say. Everybody was kind of cutting shapes all over the place in that pack there, and they're doing a really good job of staying off each other, not locking wheels and everything there. So good on them, as we're seeing the Iberian Snake rearing its head down the front straightaway here. Already, but what, 10 minutes in, and we're already snaking down the straightaway trying to break draft. So we know what that means, right? That's okay, starting to think about, I don't like this anymore. I'm trying to break the draft. I want to get out front. The pressure's too much, maybe, as we see Tor take the inside on that corner. And that's what I would be doing up here. You know, if I was Tor and Jason and Lippi, I think, that are kind of immediately in this battle, I'd be letting the driver beside me get me into T1 every lap and just try to pull away a little bit. This is not the opportunity or the time to try to lead the race. You're not going to win from first right here, most likely. So it doesn't really matter a whole bunch. It's better to just kind of try to move away from the pack. But hey, what do I know? Race these things very often. These guys are much better V drivers than me, and you know, switching positions into T1 every lap is pretty exciting as well.
Certainly a lot better than I am. Very good reason why I'm behind the microphone more often than not instead of behind the wheel. These racers can put on a good show, as Tolo dipping some wheels off coming out of turn at number 9. That section so tricky to try and nail down. I'm curious if it may be right on board with Rafael Lippi as he heads his way out of this section, because I'm curious. This has a little bit of a flat out blast down into turn at number down to there. That's the start finish line. Will we have the opportunity to see a photo finish at the end of this race? I wonder if these drivers are going to try and dip their toes into the water to figure out whether or not that's actually possible at the end of this race. It's good to get some moves done down into turn number 1, as that's Rafael Lippi with the save of a lifetime.
Wowzers. Yep, that was the panic save right there. I think we spoke about it during the SRF race there that I was last part of, is when you start to feel that rear end kind of lose it, your first instinct is to snap the wheel the other way and try to catch it, but that's actually the wrong thing to do in these cars. What you want to do is just mash the brake, basically, and you'll just go into a four-wheel slide. You won't loop the back end, and hopefully you can keep pointing forward and keep going. And he did a perfect job of that there. He barely even scrubbed any speed, just locked him up, just kind of instantly locked the tires up, and it just sort of straightened the car out a bit, and then you let off, and you can keep going straight again. And I think that's what we saw Lippy do. We'll see if we can't get a quick replay maybe on board of him actually pulling that off. Not sure that we can here, but let's see. Oh yeah, we might get one here. So he's going to get loose and then just lock those front brakes. And it just kind of, you know, you can just basically understeer the front of the car back straight again. And he barely even lost time there, man. That was a master class in how to save the rear end from looping around.
He snapped the front of that car back around like a rubber band attached to a light pole. That was insane stuff from him. Locked up those front tires and just swapped that front end back in the right direction. Hey, it takes a lot of skill to be able to know, you know what? I'm about 45 degrees compared to what I should be. Let's just turn the front tires into rectangles so I can save this slide. And he did, and he's still running in third, and he still has a good shot to be able to get a move done to jump his way up into the race lead in the not too far off future, and maybe even get the win in this race as well. I will say though, Josh, I think we're starting to see those drivers up at the front of the field and the drivers behind settle down, and it's for two very different but connected reasons, two the opposite ends of the exact same coin. You've got these drivers running between P1 and P5 that are thinking, you know what, we've had our fun and games, we've had our battling, it's ended in tears for some other drivers who have been battling tooth and nail, and frankly, we've still got 16 minutes left to go. Let's take it easy for now, work together as pseudo teammates, and make sure that there's no opportunities for everyone else to catch us. These drivers, on the other hand, which does have a bit bigger of a pack, you've got Jim Brewster, Scott Brailer, Leon Frost, Michelle Lynn, Jeff Jacobson, and Parvin Ladar involved in that battle. Those 6 cars, they're maybe going to try and settle down and just hope that they can have the time to reel in that gap between themselves and the drivers a little bit farther up the road. As down into turn number 2, that's Tolo trying to hold on to the race lead. Raphael Lippi going up in the air and making contact with Jason Green.
I had a feeling something was going to go down there. Lippy was definitely looking a little bit more froggy than usual. Not driving very well, I might say. I'm going to have to find out what exactly happened there because they're doing such a good job of staying off each other. But looks like Jason Green is going to lose out a little bit on that one. Lippy losing out big time. Let's go have a look, Ron.
Oh, man. I'm not sure if that came across on the microphone when that moment happened, when they swiped across the camera. You could probably tell that I got a little bit jump scared when I saw that going down. You can see that contact being made side by side racing. Raphael Lippi just overcooking it a little bit into the turn. And these are still open wheel race cars. And when that contact goes down, up you go.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, it is rather violent when these things make contact like that. You can see they're going to lock wheels here, and it just sends Lippy up in the air. You got wheel to wheel. Couldn't really catch it there, unfortunately. They locked front to rear. And that's just going to send you straight up in the air, basically, or rubber to rubber. They're going opposite directions. Boom, you can send you straight up in the air. And Lippy's really going to lose out on that one, unfortunately. Jason Green lost a bit of time. He might be able to recover some of that, but he's kind of back in the pack now, fighting with Coliseo and Brewster, and actually a rather large pack forming behind him here. So he's going to have to make some moves pretty quick to pull away from this. That might be Jason Green's race here for at least the lead pack.
Yeah, and right as I was talking about some of the drivers involved in that front pack fight not wanting to get involved in the drama going on right behind, we've now got 2 of them involved in this. It's Jason Green and Nate Coliseo. Coliseo in that 8 car, the Chiquita Banana liveried race car, he's been slipping down quite badly. It must be those banana peels he's been leaving down for himself. It's unfortunate for him. Not sure what has gone down with Coliseo because he was running strong, then lost out on about a second, and since then his gap has really ballooned. He was tracking some pretty consistent lap times, and then some of the past couple of times he was in the 119th, which is not quick at all. So he's right on board with Raphael Lippi and his perspective and all that. Yeah, that is a very easy mistake to make in these Formula V race cars. They are so reliant on keeping the momentum rolling, heading off through these turns. Even if it's the slowest corner on the racetrack, you want to still keep as many miles an hour or kilometers an hour rolling in that race car as you can. And that was just trying to get a move done and hoping that Jason would maybe back out of it, which he did not. And unfortunately there, Raphael Lippi and Jason Green coming to blows. It's ruined Lippi's race as he's running a little bit farther in the back of this pack, running at the top 10 presently, and Jason Green now fighting for his life to remain inside the top 5.
Yeah, that looked like a pretty racing incident to me. Lippi kind of threw it up the inside and just a little too close together and ended up locking wheels there. A little bit surprising, actually, because it looked like they both had a second or two to kind of figure out that wheels were locked. But you know, when you're driving like that, it just all happens really quickly sometimes, and it's just the way it is. Didn't feel like they were going to hit wheels, and then boom, all of a sudden you're up in the air, and geez, what did I do? So both really good drivers there. I'm not sure either, or obviously either one of them would never do something like that intentionally. Looked like pretty much just a racing incident, but unfortunately Lippy definitely getting the short end of that one back here now into 10th place, I believe, and he's definitely got some work to do. I expect he'll probably make up a position or two here, but I don't think a podium is going to be in the cards for him anymore, as Jason Green now also kind of slipping back out of the podium positions here behind Nate Coliseo, who we know is not an easy guy to pass and is going to race you hard. So this is going to be a difficult race for Jason here on out now.
As we see these drivers heading their way down into turn number 2, the exact same section of the racetrack that we saw that moment between Jason Green and Raphael Lippi. Imagine if we're talking about, not sure how those racers didn't know, but they had made wheel-to-wheel contact. Definitely in the heat of the moment, you can lose sensation when it comes to that sort of stuff. Here's a good little story from my karting days, like I like to break out. So there's the final story that I'll be sharing during one of these Formula V Weekend Warriors broadcasts from this season. This was back in 2019. I remember, I think we had to do a gear change because at that point I was running a single-speed car, so we had to change the gear on the rear axle. And in the franticness of trying to get that all squared away, the vent cap for the gas tank wasn't screwed on properly. So about halfway around the track, I just felt a sense of like coolness around my legs, and I was like, oh man, it's been a while since I got into the cart. Did I actually pee myself? And I'm like, no, it's fuel. I was like, okay, that's a bad thing. And then I proceeded to pull over. So hey, in the heat of the moment, you can your brain can register some things that aren't entirely accurate. Trust me, I've been there and I have done that. We got a battle going on between Tortello and Guido Marzucchi. That's going to be a very intense fight. Now, I want to flash our minds back to last season here in the Formula V Weekend Warriors, talking about Mr. Marzucchi. He won the race at Thruxton, which was a hectic race, the first time the series ever ran at that track. Been a little while since Oran Park has played a host to a Formula V Weekend Warriors race. I'll have to ask around after this broadcast is said and done. It's contact yet again. That's Raphael Lippi and Jeff Jacobson coming to blows out of turn number 3. I was too busy talking about that bit of color that I was trying to provide to really register what exactly went down in that incident. But
saw that
Raphael
one coming.
Lippi with another moment.
Yeah, I think I saw that one coming here, and I have a quick look. And it looks to me like I believe Jeff Jacobson was just not having this one here. So up the inside, and he's basically just going to run him out of road there, pretty much. I mean, that's what it looks like from here. He basically just said, no, you're not taking this one, and you're either going off the road or I'm going to put you off the road. So that's the way that one worked out, unfortunately. That's what happens when you get kicked back in the pack. You're going to end beside some people who've been fighting really hard for the position they're in, and they're not going to want you around them, and it's going to make it really difficult for you to get by, and I'm pretty sure that's kind of what happened right there. Jacobson just holding position, and either Lippi was going to back out or there was going to be an accident, and that's what happened.
When you get into a limousine that drives you into the ghetto, don't be surprised when you see a baby standing on the corner. It's unfortunate for Lippi. His race has gone from okay to bad, then to worse, then to even worser, if that's even a phrase. But that's got to be unfortunate for him. Very quick drive. Yeah, we'll give myself some excuse.
That was definitely worser.
Yeah, that was indeed. I will steal this comment, which has been burned into my memory from our old Weekend Warriors pal here on SMB, Mr. Randall McGrew. I'm from Philadelphia. English is not my first language. I'm not sure if sarcasm is or what, but, you know, I'll take the compliments when they are given to me. But the point I was going to raise before we saw that drama go down, as, I think we just saw, that may have been just from my perspective, all of the cars blanked out there for a second. I was like, alrighty, here we go. iRacing's getting DDoSed again. Perfect timing for that as the Nürburgring 22 is going on. But no, I was going to say that Guido Marzucchi, the last time he scored a win in the Spec 1 category, in fact, the only time he scored a win in the Spec 1 category up to this point in this race, was at Thruxton last season, where he prevailed in a very dramatic finish where a lot of drivers came to blows. Some uncharacteristic mistakes happened, and there's a little bit of drama at a racetrack that was a bit of an unknown. Guido Marzucchi may find himself in a very similar spot here today, and perfect time for me to raise that color point as we add him 2 by 2 down into turn 2.
Oh, A bit of contact from Leo and Frost and Braylon. I'm not sure if you caught that. He just rear-ended him there going into the braking zone. So it's getting pretty dicey here with this pack. I'm expecting something's going to go off here pretty soon. We've made some contact. We're getting pretty froggy around each other. But yeah, back to the point you were making there. I think Guido Marsucci has a chance today, my friend. I think he's got a chance for a win here, potentially against one of the fastest drivers out there. So we'll be rooting for our producer buddy here at SMB, but it is not going to be an easy one to get by Tories. You know, other than Jason Green, maybe a handful of others there, pretty much the fastest driver out there. And really impressed here that Guido is able to A, keep up, and B, it looks like he's going to have a chance here by the end of the race, Ron. Only a few minutes left.
And I mean, hey, if he gets a win, we may need to enforce a rule here in slow motion broadcasting that whenever one of our crew members ends up winning a race that's broadcasted, we throw him a raise. Alrighty, 3 wide racing down into turn number 1 and 2. That's some close quarter stuff. That's chasing. Oh, no!
I knew it.
Brewster and Nate Coliseo coming to blows.
Yeah, no, Jim was having none of that. Let's have another look at perhaps exactly what went down there, but we'll see if Coliseo made sort of a brash move here. I think maybe Jim just kind of armbarred him there, but let's have a quick look. Went into T1 here. He's going to try on the outside. Jim's keeping it nice and tight. Touch the outside a little bit. Big sharp cut down. So, you know, kind of racing incident, I'd say. It feels like Coliseo maybe just didn't quite... He thought he was clear there, I think, and he wasn't. That was not anybody's fault, really.
Yeah, that's just one of those racing deals down into turn number 2. That corner, it seems like it is conducive to having those moments go down with side-by-side racing. I think it's part of the reason why that is the case is down to the fact that this track doesn't get used a whole lot here in the sim. I mean, it's a fantastic track. We've definitely seen that thus far in this race with still about 5 minutes left to go. But it's not one that a lot of these people know like it's on the back of their hands. So I think maybe the reason why that is the case, first off, you're a little bit squirrely coming through turn number 2 and then trying to drop the anchor. Well, coming through turn number 1 and trying to drop the anchors down to turn 2. That's one of the reasons. The track also bottlenecks in a very odd way heading through this section of the racetrack as well. On the inside curb, it's basically just a drainage gully. There's nothing really to it outside of that. So very hard if you do hit that. So these drivers going to be avoiding the curbs and just trying to manage the side-by-side racing as well as they can. I was going to raise this in that Raphael Lippi and Jeff Jacobson moment that we saw heading through turn number 3 not terribly long ago. That corner, I am always confused as to where the start of the runoff area is heading off through there, because we can kind of see it from the camera shot we had a couple of moments ago as the racers headed their way out of turn number 3. You've got the white line on the outside of the turn, and then you've got some asphalt runoff area, and then the exit curb is about 5 feet farther in from that. So that could have been part of the reason why that was the case. Either way, though, tough racing around this track that is not terribly familiar to these racers could be part of the reason why we've seen some of the best in this series thus far in this race have those side-to-side bits of contact. Even some of the cleanest drivers in the series haven't been immune to that.
Oh, definitely. I've been there for sure. I've definitely, pulled the nope, you're not getting around me. I'm going to try to make that outside line as unadvantageous as possible, to the point maybe actually cutting the person off. I think we've all been there before. And actually, that section of the course is a little bit confusing as to exactly where to place the car. So perhaps that played a little bit into that role as well. And the curbs around here so nailed as well. Some of them, as you can see, that one they're just going into there has a bit of a lip on the inside of it, and if you're just right, you can kind of catch a tire in it and it can help you. But for the most part, if you touch the curbs around here, they're really not going to help you at all. They're going to push you off the road, and it's just not a very good thing to do. So you want to stay off them. They're very different than everywhere else. I don't think I've ever seen another track that had curbs that looked quite like this one.
Yeah, the curves are bizarre around this racetrack. You've got ones like that you can see rather flat, rather tame. Then you've got the ones I said a little bit earlier on are basically like drainage gullies. It's rather bizarre that we've got around here. And the curb heading your way off through the final turn, that's a no-go zone if ever you see one, for the simple sake that if anyone watching this broadcast, or if you have, Josh, ever played one of the other dirt rally games and you get a call out from the co-driver's notes being like, I don't know, 5 left-hander, don't cut. that is a no-cut corner, because if you
yeah.
go a matter of like 1 inch off that in these Formula Vs, which, let's face it, compared to some of the other cars here in the sim, the tires on these FVs are basically bicycle wheels. You're running a little bit narrow heading off through that corner, and then you're going to basically drop off a cliff. So, of all the sections of this track that are rather bizarre, that one would certainly be up there. And you know, upon mentioning that, I have a feeling that this man, Jason Green, is going to be leading a jumping campaign heading off to that part of the track here in about 3 minutes time.
Yeah, he's definitely looking for positions right now. This is the wee hours now, and things are going to get a little bit contentious here in the last little bit. And this is when you want to kind of try to keep your nose clean and look for those mistakes that are happening in front of you here. That's what I would be doing if I was Jason Green for sure. You've kind of lost some positions. Maybe you can grab a couple advantageously, but not worth too much about it right now is what I would be doing. Just hopefully something happens in front of me. Put the pressure on. See how many points you can kind of extract here. But up at the front, you know, I'm still wondering whether or not Guido Marzucci here is going to make a move. He's definitely biding his time so far. He hasn't really tried to pass. He's not really trying to go on anybody. But I think he's going to take that move here real soon. I'd say in another lap or so, Ron.
And I don't believe we took the white that time by. So we have 2 more laps of racing action here at Oran Park. And whenever we think about those close calls between whites or checkers, bring up the fuel discussion. Hello, Mr. Thompson. As we take a look at this moment for Kurt Nunez heading his way off through the O'Brien aluminum dogleg. That section of the racetrack will never grow stale to me. He loops it heading through the turn. And yeah, there's the cliff that I mentioned.
Easy to do.
He drives off into the grass and looks like he's parked up going to a car show. So that's going to be an unfortunate moment for him. That's going to pretty much take him out of contention. Tough moment for the other 918 of Kurt Nunez. But here is the fight. This is going to be intense. We got Tortolo leading this race. Guido Marzucchi slotted in P2. Now, I don't believe this would be a championship winning situation for Tortolo. But at the same time, if Jason Green, if he drops down like a rocket, Tortolo remains in the race lead, we may end up seeing Tortolo get a surprising shock championship win that I don't think any of us, including himself, expected heading into the season, as we are on the final lap from Season 2 of 2025 here in the Formula V Weekend Warriors. It's a 2-horse race at the front of the field and 3 drivers weaving down the start-finish straightaway. Jason Green, Scott Brailer, and Leon Frost in the middle of that. Frost making his return to the series. He's now got a Jason Green on the outside of him, looking to make up some moves right towards the end of this season, as it looks like he will be successful in getting that move done to jump his way up into P4 potentially. They're still battling tooth and nail. Meanwhile, at the front of the field, Tortolo leads in front of Guido Marzucchi. Marzucchi did not go for the dive down into turn number
big
2.
understeer.
Runs a little bit wide out of turn at number 6 there as well. That may have cost him big time. You can see another bit of understeering action out of turn 7 of Foster's dip through turn number 9 for the final time in this race. Tortolo, he has had a fantastic season up to this point. Entering it, though, he didn't really expect himself to be involved in the championship hunt, but he's had 4 wins up to this point. He heads his way around the final turn. He is going to look to try and make it 5 in the last race of this season at Oran Park. Marzucchi is close, though, but will he be close enough? Coming right to the line, he won't be. That's Tortolo grabbing the race win here at Oran Park. Guido Marzucchi going to finish in P2. Scott Brailer going to nearly lead them down into pit lane at the end of this race. Going to round out your podium in 3rd as a Spec 2 racer, and Jason Green going to finish in 4th. Now, whether or not that's enough for the championship, we will report for you here in a couple of moments. I think it's good for Jason Green, but I cannot be 100% certain on that. I believe Michelle Lynn has won it in Spec 2, and Jim Brewster is your champion in Masters here for Season 2 of 2025. But if Tolo putting in that performance, if that just gave him a championship, that will be a dream scenario for him. But either way, a great drive from him.
Yeah, it's hard to tell there, you know, just by sort of the way that Jason Green was driving. It looked to me like he really wanted a position or 2 at the end there. So perhaps, you know, I would think he knows going in exactly what he needed to win this one and how he could lose it. So I'm wondering if, you know, maybe that last position he grabbed there from 5th to 4th locked it up for him. But he was definitely looking for positions at the end there. He was willing to take a risk. And to me, that means, you know, he needed that position. So perhaps it's really close there, Ron. We'll have to check pretty soon. But Marzucchi not quite quite able to bring it home there at the end. I was going to say leading up to it, I don't think he's got the overall pace to be able to get Tor at the end there. As lap after lap, Tor was kind of able to put a few, about a second, or not even a second, a few tenths on him there before he got to the straightaway. He just wasn't going to be able to draft him to the line, and that's ended up being how it worked out. But great drive from Guido nonetheless to pull a second today.
Yeah, nice drive from Guido. Nice drive from all of these racers. A rather low attrition rate at the end of it all here as well. Only 2 retirements from the start to the finish. As here's the jumping shenanigans from Green. Up in the air he goes, leaping over the racetrack, and he did not lawn dart it there. Oh, Michelle Lynn did. Holy cow, she's tumbling.
Yikes. Let's see if we get any more takers here. Oh, we missed a couple. We'll have to go back and see if we can't grab those people jumping as well. But this is obviously our tradition here to burn them down at the end. It'll be the last time for Season 2, 2025 here. We're moving into a new season coming up pretty soon here with the Vs, and obviously looking forward to that one. But wrapping up an amazing season here, Season 2 this season as well. Just an awesome one.
And as we look ahead to Season 3, I'm going to make this call right away. So there we can see Brian Hansen upside down there. There's nothing sadder in the sim racing world than seeing a Formula V car on iRacing upside down, nosed into the dirt. That is the saddest spectacle of them all. So we're going to look at Hansen and his perspective in the 771 car. You can see those dirt mounds a little bit farther up the road. He hits it. And bang, there he goes. Lawn darts in, tumbles about 5 or 6 times here.
Oh, like a gymnast
twirling
there.
and somersaulting. Yeah, that is some gymnast behavior. As he will not stick the landing, lands on top of his head. If it was me behind the wheel, that won't be too bad. There won't be too much up there to lose if I was behind the wheel. But Josh, upon seeing those somersaults, what would you score that out of 10?
I mean, so far, that's going to have to... I mean, I can't just go right away and put a 10, right? Because somebody's got to be able to beat us. Let's see Telker, and we'll go from there. Oh, I'd say in comparison to Telker, that was a 10, but maybe a 10 for landing for Telker. That was a nice next level one, but I don't know. That was a couple full Arabians I think I saw there from Brian, so I think I'm going to have to give him the win on that one.
Yeah, I'm not very familiar when it comes to gymnast terminology. I'm pretty sure if I tried to do a backflip, I would probably pull every single muscle in my body from my neck down. So I would probably end up breaking my eardrum somehow trying to do a front flip. So, it takes all kinds to make the world go around, but sometimes when it comes to me, I feel like others may want to stop the rotation. But I think with all that squared away, you can maybe look at the results here in a couple of moments' time and wrap things up from an absolutely amazing season here from Season 2 of 2025 for the Formula V Weekend Warriors. That's Tortello winning it over Guido Marzuki in P2. Scott Brailer in the 210 car. The Spec 2 racer will round out your overall podium in 3rd. And that's going to be Jason Green finishing right behind in 4th. Leon Frost with a very impressive return to the series in the 259 will round out your top 5. Jim Brewster wins it in the Masters class, finishing in 6th, and I believe that will just about seal it when it comes to that Clash Championship. So that is a game, set, match for him in Masters. He is your champion. We'll have a chat with him in a couple of moments' time, and if all of my championship predictions are wrong, I'm going to enroll myself in some math classes. Michelle Lynn ends up in P7 on track for the other Spec 2 championship. Jeff Jacobson will finish in P number 8, Raphael Lippi in 9th, with Nate Colascio rounding out your top 10.
Yeah, and then following top 10 here in the Masters class, we have Alan DeGassis in 11th place, Parvinder Ladar in 12th, Russell Telker in 13th, Dan Stasinski in 14th, Rob Wright in 15th, Brian Hansen in 16th, Jason Grider in 17th, Travis Rail in 18th, and if we can advance things on a little bit here, nope, I believe that was, we got a bit more. Kurt Nunez in 19th, 4 laps down. Daniel Alberti, unfortunately, falling anvils there fairly early on, 19 laps down in 20th, and Trip Isley not taking the field today in 21st.
So those are results at the end of today. Let me try that one again one more time. So those are your results at the end of this final race of the season. Kind of got my tongue wrapped around my teeth about 16 times there. I sounded like I was speaking with a mouthful of glass. But with all the results taken care of, I think the first driver that I want to have a chat with It's actually going to be series admin and our SMB statistician when it comes to the inner machinations of the championship battles. It's going to be Jim Brewster, because I want to know who's been able to get the deal done in all three of our classes. Jim, welcome into the commentary booth. I'd usually ask you the first question about how your race was, but I want to know, who are our champions here for season number 2?
Your guess good as mine. Now that we have an outside independent person doing the points, I'm clicking on the spreadsheet waiting for, and he knew, I think you guys have the spreadsheet also. We're talking to Tor. Tor has his personal spreadsheet. He thinks he might have gotten it by 1 point, but there's a lot of, it's so close that we're going to have to wait and see. But yeah, that was, I had a lot of fun in the race. Unfortunately, Alan looped on the outside going in the turn 2 there on one lap, and then I had a little incident with Nate later. But I'll admit I was defending, but I think that was the only way to really survive in that turn 1-2 complex, was to go down the inside. But anyway, I thought it was a great run. Some of the new guys were really going really fast, and I had 2 of the newer guys hounding all over my butt all afternoon. But anyway, I think it was a good season. I'm excited about the new one. I'm excited if this points really came down that close. I know it has a lot of potential. It had potential mathematically to be very, very close. And so anyway, and I will let you know. I will stay on here and keep clicking. If you want to go talk to Tor and maybe come back, maybe I'll have the points before we get off the air.
I think we'll take you up on that offer, Jim. That sounds
great.
Like
Thanks for everything, guys. We wouldn't, we love what you do. Anyway, I'll talk to you later.
And we love what you and Michelle and everyone in the Weekend Warriors does to put on these fantastic FB shows. Jim, we'll speak to you here in a couple of minutes' time.
Great. Thanks.
So that right there was Jim Brewster, undecided as to who may be the champion, but based off the fact that Jason Green hasn't joined us in the interview waiting area and Tortello has, I have a feeling that your theory there, Josh, and that's exactly what I picked up there as well. Jason Green was throwing everything in the kitchen sink at some of those racers, so I wonder whether or not he knew something that we didn't. It was going to be an outside shot. I'll tell you what, folks, I've been covering the Weekend Warriors now for over 2 years at this point. I still don't really know how these championship battles shake out at the end of the day, based off the fact that Jim, the series admin's not entirely sure himself. I can't necessarily blame me for that sort of reaction, but we'll bring in Tortello, our potential champion here in season 2 of 2025. Tor, welcome into the commentary booth. I think we'll cut this 2 different ways. So let me try this real quick. Tor, congratulations on the championship, and we'll edit it accordingly. Tor, oh so close in the championship, man, but 5 wins here in season 2 of 2025. You were quick all throughout the races that you attended, even though you're a little bit spotty in the early stages with some of the real life racing commitments you had. Just an absolute force to be reckoned with yet again here this season. But I want to ask you about this race here at Oran Park.
Well, Ron, I had to be very, very aggressive from right from the start, since I knew for a fact I'd outscored Jason by 25 points today. So I just had to keep getting to the front and just trying to control the pack. And yeah, there was the really unfortunate incident with Jason and Raphael, and that just cut Guido and I off, and it was just us 2 in the front and the rest congregate in the back. I'm not really sure if I am champion or not, but either way it's going to be really close, and I just got to give so much props to Jason. Like, as usual, we've been racing together for 2.5, close to 3 years now, and it's always so much fun to race with him, and I have so much respect for the guy.
I'll tell you what, you and him are basically inseparable when it comes to these Formula V championship battles. Even heading into this season, where I'm pretty sure, flashing our minds back about 13 weeks ago at the end of season 1, you pretty much said, hey, look, not really sure if I'm going to be involved in the championship battle. My attendance is going to be a bit spotty in season 2. You still end up having a championship battle with him. You score the most amount of wins this season as well at 5 compared to P2 of Felix Samoa's at just 2. You still managed to pull it out here. So I want to ask you about how it is for you kind of going from your real-life racing commitments, you just said in the Formula V chat a couple of days ago that you've got a deal to race down South Africa in the not-too-far-off future from everything I heard, and congratulations on that regard. But how is it going from, like, just skipping out on a couple of weeks to then just hopping in this car and then having to get right back on that horse?
Well, it's not easy for sure. This whole Weekend Warriors crew is just a bunch of very, very talented people. And yeah, it's really a struggle. I don't even know how I've got the most wins this season. Everyone's just been absolutely amazing. So yeah, just week in, week out, just try and lock in where I can and just do my best, I guess, and just rely on just hundreds of races of experience and a good dash of luck.
And I gotta say as well, at 0.169 of a second between yourself and Guido Marzuki in P2, I think that may be the biggest gap that you've had for a race win all season long here as well. So congratulations on this dominant performance here at Oran Park. And I want to ask you about Season 3, because I know we are definitely getting into the summer here in the Northern Hemisphere. You have your own racing adventures in real life to try and attend to. So I'm going to ask you the exact same question I asked you at the end of last season. You think you're going to try and go for either another championship or your 4th in a row, depending on how things shake out for this season?
Well, depending. No matter what, I'll be on the grid. Probably going to miss 2 or 3 rounds, but I'll still be there, and hopefully in a championship fight, and just hopefully stay competitive and stay at the front, and represent a really historic, great team.
And I will ask you one last question. You just hinted at it a couple of moments ago, and I think I've asked it to you about 15,000 times. Any thanks or shouts out you want to give before we let you go?
Just a big thank you to Brabham Motorsport and owner David Brabham. It's really an honor to be able to run with the Brabham team, and yeah, just really happy to have their support. And a big thank you to the rest of the Weekend Warriors crew. It's just so great to be able to have a V League where we're so respectful and hard racing. And big thanks to you guys at SMB for just some great broadcasts week in, week out.
And Tor, we'll cut the end of this interview 2 ways as well. Congratulations on the championship. Well, congratulations on the race win here at Oran Park. No matter how it works out in the championship battle, you are the race winner here at Oran. Well done on the win, and hopefully going to see you out there on the racetrack yet again for Season 3.
Thank you so much.
And that right there was Tortello, who may be our champion or is our champion or may have finished in P2 in the championship. Regardless of how it shakes out, he is your race winner here at Oran Park. And Josh, I will give you the opportunity to have a chat with Michelle Lind, who I believe regardless of how it works, she had a big enough points gap whereby she is probably going to be our Spec 2 champion. So I'll pass it off to you to have a chat with Michelle Lind.
Yeah, sounds good. Hey, Michelle. Last round at Oran Park. Not an easy track today. Super physical and stuff out there. I believe that you took the S2 championship win, so congrats there. But how did it feel out there today? How did that one go?
I'm gonna probably say some stuff I'm gonna regret. Sounds
like me before broadcast.
Yo, dude, for real. It was too chaotic. Like, there were a couple guys ahead of me from the get-go that were like 2x2 through corners. We're like losing the pack ahead of us. Just like some of the dumbest driving I've seen. These are Vs. These are momentum cars. Like, you do not drive them like that unless you want to be slow. So it was basically today, I went into this race with, I had a 100-point lead in the championship. Although it was unlikely, mathematically, Parvinder, had he like won the race, got fastest lap, the whole 9 yards, he would have beat me. So I just wanted to drive a clean race, stay on the track, don't take any risky passes. And so I was just trying to stay like in the back of the pack I was in. But like, there was so much stupidity ahead of me that it was, I kept having to like practically lock up the brakes into a bunch of corners. Jeff, who was behind me, at one point, like over 2.5 seconds, he kept closing back up to within draft because we were going so slow. Just, I don't know, it was chaotic. I'm really glad it's over. I'm glad I won the championship. That was my 3rd one. And now I can finally like relax, and next week we'll have the runoffs, and that'll be just totally fun. You don't have to worry about points or anything like that. And
yeah, definitely looking forward to the runoffs. And yeah, it is one of those tracks. We did see a little bit of that out there today, kind of shaking our heads like, why are they battling so hard? kind of losing the pack or what have you. And it's just, it's so easy to get caught up in a battle sometimes. And yeah, definitely feel your pain there for sure, though, Michelle. And we're looking forward to, I believe the week 13 this year is going to be at Road America, which is, I'm pretty excited about that. I think I'm actually going to be able to participate this time as well. I'm usually away during week 13 almost always, and it looks like this time I might not be. So I might actually be out there in a V even potentially. So
oh yeah,
that
that's
should
right. 'Cause
be.
I think Guido is going to produce, right? So
Yeah, he said he would for me. Yep. Usually I'm away
Alright,
and he
well-
produces for me, but this time I'm here and he's producing for me. So I'm actually going to get to race this time. I'm pretty excited about it. Road America in a V. Looking forward to it.
I have like advice for Road America for you.
Sure.
Don't run into me. That's all.
This time we raced together actually in a V. I'm pretty sure you jumped over the back of me because I stalled the start. So that was the first time we raced together. I promise it will go better than that. We'll get off the line this time. I know what the clutch is, but let's wrap up this season here. Season 2, round 12, Oran Park. You took the championship, Michelle. Is there anybody out there you'd like to thank?
I want to first of all, let's thank SMB. Let's thank I got to thank you. I've got to thank my Philly peep Ron, who lives like 20 minutes away from me in the Northeast. Of course, Jim for doing the schedule. Of course, Stevie for everything he does. I want to thank the guys on my setup team: Jason Green, Jason Grider, and now Ethan Orr. And just congrats to either Thor or Jason Green. That point championship is really close. Thor thinks he might have taken it, so I don't know.
I think
Good luck
maybe
to
he
both of
did.
them.
We were saying
it's
quickly
really
there
close.
just how Jason Green was driving at the end as if he wanted third place, like it meant everything, and how
It did.
I have a feeling that it did. And that Thor may have taken it by a point, and then Jason knows he didn't jump in. But that's just my prediction. Just watching Jason drive at the end there, it looked pretty clear that he wanted to make up a position pretty badly, and he wasn't able to do it. I don't think so. But great race nonetheless. What an awesome season. Great calendar. I think the calendar probably look a lot different next season. Probably a lot less UK tracks and stuff. I'm hearing.
That's Jim's department. So we'll see.
We'll see how
Chip,
that goes.
thing.
But awesome. Yeah, go for it.
I forgot to thank. I gotta thank Tammy. I gotta always thank
of course.
Tammy because she's the best cheerleader in chat for everybody.
Yep, in the chat every race,
thanks,
pretty
Tim.
much. Yep. Right on. Cool. Okay. Well, we will see you next season, and we'll see you hopefully on track there for week 13 as well. And I promise I won't run over you this time.
All right, for sure. See you later, buddy.
All right. Bye-bye.
I think that was some very good advice that Michelle Lynn gave you there, Josh, I would say.
That's only one advice to me. I'm freaking out here.
Well, I mean, Michelle being in the city of Philadelphia, and I can attest to this, as she said, I'm from Philly as well. If you drive enough here in the city of Philadelphia, you will get into an accident. So,
An accident or a fist fight? Yep.
Yeah,
or both?
Accident, fist fight, both. Yeah, that usually happens in the early stages. So it happens. To that. But anyways, not touching that one. We got Jason Green up there in the interview.
Let's get him in here.
I'm gonna bring in Jason because I think Jim's still trying to figure out who may have won the
I
championship.
think Jason's gonna know.
May have to break it all out, break out the calculators and everything. Jason, welcome in here to the commentary booth. We're not sure how the championship worked out here in the commentary booth. We're hearing that you may have gotten it done, that Tor may have gotten it done. We're hearing conflicting reports. So we'll just ask you about this race here at Oran Park. How was it out there?
It's super disappointing for sure. I essentially needed to finish in third to 100% clinch it, but yeah, it didn't really work out that way. Almost got past Scott there on the last lap, but I just needed a little more time, I think, to do that. So yeah, I mean, that's what happens. Didn't have the best of seasons to begin with. Only had the one win and lots of anvils, lots of mistakes. So, but yeah, my back of the napkin math originally showed a tie, but then Tor showed me that I probably shouldn't be dealing with numbers for a living, and that he actually got 8 bonus points instead of 7. So unofficially, that's just based on Tor and I's math. Tor probably won by 1 point. The championship.
I mean, I hope this doesn't sound bad. After a 12-round season, the fact it all came down to that just speaks volumes about how talented both yourself and Tor are behind the wheel of these race cars. I mean, that literally could not be closer unless it was a tie. That is absolutely insane between you two. So I hope that leaving this season, you can still hang your head high, knowing fully well that, I mean, that was just absolutely as close as it could possibly get, man. That is insanity. I mean, I've been covering the Weekend Warriors on a full-time basis for over a year at this point, and in general for the past 2. It staggers me how close you drivers can be when it comes to championships.
Yeah, for sure. And like, huge shout out to Tor. He's essentially done that with one less race than me. So yeah, if he had had a full 9, it wouldn't even be this close. So just a testament to how consistent he is and how good he is at getting it done at the end of the race. I think what the gap this week was still under 2/10. I think it was like 1800.169. So I think that puts his margin of victory at like 0.4 of a second for all 5 of his wins.
I
Which
was
is
gonna say that's like
absolutely
a
crazy.
It's like a vast yawning chasm this week in terms of the gap.
Yeah, so like for him to come out on top, 5 times out of that, and I think there have been a couple other finishes that were closer where he didn't get it. Maybe, I don't know. I might be making that part up, but yeah, I mean, to come out on top for those close finishes, just a testament to him and his racecraft. So yeah, huge shout out to Tor, as always, just absolutely killing it out there. So yeah, super happy for him to be able to show that off and to get it done this season.
Yeah, but man, that was still absolutely insane between you and him throughout this season. And you got some championship battles to look forward to tomorrow with the FFs and the Spec Racer Fords. I think it's looking pretty all right for you over there. So want to give us a preview for Sunday?
Yeah, so Formula Fords, I'm not in it. I won't be running that one. I'll start again next season. But in the SRFs, I've actually again, according to my back of the napkin math, Mauricio clinched it last week. So yeah, I don't think there'll be a battle there. I'm pretty sure I did the math right. I'll have to double check though, since I got it wrong today. But yeah, it should still be a really good race at Oschersleben. And I'm forgetting where the Formula Fords are.
They're at Donington.
Donington, yeah, that'll be that should be a really good race. It's that track always produces some really good racing.
Love Donington. That'll be a fun one for sure. Not raining this time too. I think last time we were there it was raining, so it won't be raining this time, and it's a different layout, I believe. But
I don't know if CP updated the forecast, because
I haven't looked
right now. It is gonna be.
Is it gonna rain again
the entire time?
Okay, that's cool. I like rain, honestly, so I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, but regardless, even if it's dry, it'll raining or dry. That track always produces some really good racing.
Yep.
So the Formula Ford should be really fun to watch.
I'm not sure whether or not my excitement heading into tomorrow's race has grown or it's turned into fear, but regardless, I think that FF race is going to be some fun. And you know what, Jason, after this broadcast is said and done, I'm going to have to send you a screenshot that I grabbed yesterday. I somehow glitched my way into running a Spec Racer Ford in the rain in the sim yesterday. I have no idea how I was able to do that, but thankfully won't have to worry about that, at least for next week with the Spec Racer Ford. I'm not sure if that will get rain compatibility as we head our way into season 3, but
that would be amazing. Like every season, I'm always praying that we get rain in the SRF. So hopefully soon.
See, I think it will work out for all of us in the booth, because I've wanted the Lotus 79 and the Super Formula car to have rain compatibility along with the IndyCar, and all 3 of them are going to have rain here in about a week's time. So that we'll be able to have that for the Spec Racer Ford. And Josh, which car would you want to have rain compatibility in the sim?
Yeah, I'd probably be right along beside you there with the SRF, and then right behind that, I'd say maybe the Radical.
Yeah, the SR10.
Yeah, I think the Radical's going to be a handful. I mean, it needs a little bit of work, I think, before they can do rain, personally. But I think they will get that work done. And when it does get rain and that little bit of work gets done to it, one of my favorite cars. I'm really having a blast driving that thing these days.
And actually, Jason, I was going to send you a message saying, because I know you're the team captain over at Slow Motion Racing, may need to get a pack together to run in some Radical official races, because those are broadcasted
Yep.
on another network. And
I'm on a mission to make the Friday show
quick.
next season.
Yeah. We'll
Yeah,
have
for
to
sure.
have
Like
that in,
Adam
yeah.
actually made a paint, or he's making us some SMB paints and made
Yep.
some SMR paints as well.
I commissioned the
He
Radicals.
Yeah, so he sent me a PM. He's like, "Hey, do you run the SR10?" I'm like, "No, I haven't. I don't think I even own it." And then he
It's a great car.
showed me the green livery for it, and I'm like, "Well, crap. I guess I
Now
have
I
to
have
buy
to.
it now."
Exactly. Yeah.
So I don't know.
Definitely.
Maybe I'll
Little
hop in
fight
a rabbit.
under me too yesterday. I did a race at Brazil. I actually got a second place. Haven't been in that thing in years, and I got a second place right off the bat. So feeling pretty good about it.
Yeah, Interlagos is a great track.
Yep, love
And,
it. Hopefully we go there soon.
And those shows on the iRacing channel, they usually have some very quick drivers throughout them as well. So I think that'd be good to see some slow motion racing cars end up on track for those official broadcasts. But anyways, Jason, we'll let you give any thanks and chats out before we let you go and get some seat time for the season finale for the Spec Racing Forts tomorrow.
Yeah, shout out to Stevie as always for being the backer of this league, for Jim and Michelle for being there and being the active admins to make sure everything runs smoothly. Shout out to everybody that's showing up. Shout out to Tor as always. I guess shout out again to Michelle for the Spec 2 championship. I believe she got that as well. And yeah, just shout out to everybody for making this league what it is. Wouldn't be what it is without everybody showing up every week, as Stevie always says. So yeah, shout out to y'all as well for doing an amazing job this season, as always, with the broadcasts, adding that little bit extra of to the community, to have us be able to watch races back. Really does enhance the community. So thanks to y'all.
And Jason, when you get the other highlights together for this F3 race, I had some screaming moments as we saw some drama around this
I bet.
race. So I think you'll have a gold mine of opportunities to clip for the other highlights package coming out of this race.
Got it.
Alrighty, Jason. Well done on the other result here at Oran Park, and excites you out on the racetrack, hopefully for season 3.
Yep. I'll see y'all then. Thanks, y'all.
Sounds good. That right there is Jason Green, the driver of the 160 car. That poor man, he's come up second 3 times in a row now to Tortella. I think he's going to make it his life's mission to be able to get that championship, which frankly, if anyone deserves to win the championship here in the Weekend Warriors, it is Jason. He's a fantastic guy, fantastic driver, and he's been so close over the past couple of seasons. We'll have to see if he can get it done here in season 3 coming up in a couple of weeks' time. But Josh, we got Jim up there in the interview waiting area. We'll drag him in for one last chat.
Sure.
But based off of that interview with Jason, I think it's just about confirmed that Tortello is the champion in Spec 1 based off of the both of them kind of agreeing with that sentiment. Jim, you're winning it in Masters, and Michelle gets it done in Spec 2. So I believe that's just about how it works out here from what has been a really fantastic season here from the FB Weekend Warriors.
Yeah, I don't know if we've ever had a 1-point victory before. That's really exciting. And plus the other thing, Jason and Tor's relationship is, it's excellent. When you hear them talking in the interview room, in the waiting room, in the green room, they're just, they utmost respect, and they really enjoy racing each other hard. I had a great season with Alan. Alan kicked my butt in a lot of races, but unfortunately missed a few too many races. And then Michelle had a great season. And as Michelle says, thanks to Andrew's grandchildren. And anyway, but I think we all had a lot of fun, and we're ready to rack it up again, start again. So have a good day, guys. Thanks for everything. Hi, Tam.
You too, Jim. Thanks.
There you go. Always gotta give the shout out to Tam at the end of the interview. But Jim, thank you for everything you do behind the scenes, and looking forward to see what season 3 has in store.
You bet.
And that right there was Jim Brewster, series admin Josh. It was a fantastic season at the end of it all. Tortola, though, he seems to be just about inevitable. His 3rd championship in a row here from the FV Weekend Warriors. That is absolutely insane. 1 point at the end.
Yeah, pretty amazing. Again, these races always come down to the wire. It is a pretty wild stat that the finishes, I believe, if you added them all up, even just excluding Tor, even if you added up all the finishes, it's like 7 or 8 seconds or something throughout the entire season of 12 races that the races were won by. It may even be less than that. So one of the more exhilarating series to watch for sure. Slow cars are fun. Slow cars are fast, if that makes any sense. It's just been a blast, and I can't wait for Season 3. I can't even believe Season 2 is over so quickly, but we do actually have the 45th. I just have a graphic to show here. The 45th runoff's coming up on Sunday, June 15th here. We're going to have 3 races in a row. You've got the FV, the FF, and the SRF. Everybody's going to be involved in this one. I believe there is an entry. It's open. You don't have to be a league member to come join us. It's a really good place to kind of get to know everybody in the league and stuff, and get set up for the next season. Maybe what series you want to run, or maybe run all 3. Yeah, so hopefully everybody will show up here. I'm actually going to be in it this year. I think you're probably calling it, Ron. Should be a really good one.
I will be returning to my usual position of yapping people's ears off on that broadcast in 1 week's time here on SMB. And you can catch all of the Weekend Warriors action and just a whole lot of racing action here on Slow Motion Broadcasting as we look ahead to Season 3 of 2025 here in the sim. Still got a couple more rounds left to go from the Extreme Motorsports IndyCar Championship Series. They're right towards the end of their season. Of course, you can catch the season finales from the Formula Fords and Spec Racer Fords tomorrow here on Slow Motion Broadcasting at 1:45 Eastern for the FFs and 3:45 Eastern for the SRFs. XSLR still has a couple more races left to go. I think one more for the 87 Cup cars. Then they've got 4 GT3 races to bring an end to the current XSLR season. And Sim Racers Group as well. They're gonna have two shows for this upcoming season.
Correct.
Formula 4s. They're gonna be moving off to Wednesdays at the exact same. They're gonna be moving off to Tuesdays, I should say, at the exact same time. And Wednesdays are now going to be the home of the brand new Sim Racers Group Advanced F3 Series. And you can look forward to all of that action here on Slow Motion Broadcasting. Gives you a very good reason to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss out on any of the racing action. And from one more point from me before we wrap things up, another season gone by here from the Formula V Weekend Warriors. First time I ever got the opportunity to cover this series was about 1 year ago in Season 3 of 2024. It was a couple of weeks after things went down the Weekend Warriors, and they ended up here on Slow Motion Broadcasting. And ever since then, I have thoroughly enjoyed my time here with this series. Josh, we've spent 3 seasons together now with these shows. You've gotten the opportunity to do some leading, and I think looking ahead for Season 3, we're going to have some fun yet again, and hopefully all of you tuning into these broadcasts will be there for the fun as well. But for one final time here from this season, that will do it. So for myself, Ron Maunz, Josh Wilkie, joining me in the commentary booth and working on the cameras in the virtual production hauler, I say thank you all so very much for watching Season 2 of 2025 from the FB Weekend Warriors, and we hope to see you all for the Formula Fords and Spec Racer Ford season finales coming up tomorrow.
of 2025. Let's see what sort of adventures that it has in store. And pace cars way through the corner. That wasn't the crest doing him dirty.
There right off the beginning is something you probably want to monopolize on right away, honestly, in a rain race.
Involved in that as well. Godin, I believe, is a newer racer. Oh, that's a big crash coming out of the corner. Right as I was mentioning all of those racers, that we saw him have that off-track moment not terribly long ago, and he has come back from a... And oh my god, that's a big wreck coming out of turn number 4. Multiple cars around. A little bit of contact going to Chris Montgomery as well. I saw that car kind of jerk around a little bit through that corner, but you can see Montgomery maybe got to size up a move on Coliseum, as Coliseum may try and get a move on him. That is 5-6 cars covered by just about nothing on this racetrack. Nearly 4 wide through the corner. Look at Coliseum going in way deep into turn 5. He's got to lose out on that spot on Chris Montgomery and maybe Coliseum. Too low contact being... Weekly Formula V Weekend Warriors crash him up Wreckfest at the checkered flag. May God have mercy on both Josh and I's graphics cards because the event does